Hello everyone. Welcome to the webinar conducted by Bain Consultant. This is Gaurav, founder of Bain Consultant, your host for today, and also the interviewer for the case that we are going to conduct, which is a real Bain first round case. I'm sure this will add a lot of value to your consulting interview preparation. To get the best out of this webinar, I would say just take into consideration three things. One is be there till the last point. Okay? Don't drop out in between, because it's not just the case, but also the kind of feedback that the candidate received. Yeah, it's going to add a lot of value. Second point is, while the candidate is solving the case, I highly recommend that you also solve the case parallelly, right? So that you also get much more value out of it. You can also ask some questions. And third point is precisely that. Please participate. Okay. So with that, let me get into the presentation for today. Okay. So today the agenda is very simple. We'll just have a little bit of introduction, followed up by the case interview, which will take the majority of the time, around 35 to 40 minutes. That will be followed up by a very, very detailed feedback. In fact, those people who have been with us in the last few webinars would know we give feedback extremely in a detailed way. So this is the performance evaluation sheet that typically used in MBB. So we follow that. On top of that, we also follow the feedback sheet, which is the case interview phase wise, right? So very detailed feedback will be given towards the end. Case statement is very, very short. Our client is a dominant spare part distributors in Europe. He wants to enter the US market. And simply he wants advice on whether it's a good idea or not.
Okay, great. Let me just take a moment and rephrase. So our client is a European spare part manufacturer, and they are planning on seeking our advice on whether or not to enter the US market. That's the entire scope of the case.
Sure, absolutely. That is the scope.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask a couple of questions before we jump into it?
Sure, please.
So first thing that I want to understand is what's their business model like? Who are the customers for this company? Like, is it the cars? Is it the automobile? Like motorbikes, cycle? Like, what is the customer base looks like?
So you mean what kind of segment of the auto they're operating? Yes. So you can currently, So the segment is automobile.
Automobile. By automobile, you mean cars, trucks, motorbikes, or all of them?
Yeah, we can probably keep motorbikes out, but otherwise cars, trucks, passenger vehicles, and commercial vehicles both.
Fair enough. Got it. And what's the reason for entry into US market? Like, have we explored other markets and like we have narrowed down, or do we want to keep the scope of the case to explore alternate opportunities as well?
No. So we don't know the reason. Yeah, we have been just asked to evaluate whether US market is good or not. That's it.
Fair enough. And lastly, I also want to understand what's the goal of this case. Do you want to see whether how do they define whether US is an attractive market? Is it profitability? Is it market growth? Is it do they have a KPI that they want to look into? What's the objective of this?
Absolutely. So we asked the same question to the client, and the client says we would love to enter this market if the addressable market is bigger than $1 billion annually.
Perfect. Market size more than 1 billion.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. And do they have a... Okay, yeah, perfect. That's all I need. Is it okay if I take a minute to jump into the case?
Sure.
To structure my thoughts, yeah. I'm ready. So if I was the executive in the distributor's company, there are four things that I would like to look into to make sure whether US market is attractive for us or not. First and foremost, since as you already mentioned, that the market size is a prime KPI for them. The and foremost thing that I would like to understand is how big is the market, how is the growth in the market, and how is the competitive landscape looks like in US. And second thing that I want to look into is our company's own capabilities. I believe I understand that the company it's a distribution company, so I would understand that they should have a strong logistic channel. So, but what I'm more interested in is what are our capabilities to maintain a logistics channel across the Atlantic. On top of that, I also want to understand what are our financial capabilities, how we want to maintain the operations in US. Thirdly, I also want to look into what kind of mode of entry we are looking into. Is it looking? Are we looking in as a go in and as a greenfield project and manage organic growth in the country, or if the market conditions are suitable and we want a quick presence in the market, then potential partnerships, joint ventures, or a merger and acquisition can be looked into. And lastly, the fourth thing that I want to look into is what are the opportunities of what are the opportunities that will be missing because of investment in the US market? Because at the end of the day, as an executive, I want to make sure that my company's the return on investment that I'm offering to my shareholders is maximized. So with that in mind, if I'm entering US market, are there any opportunities that I'm losing out on? And on top of that, basically opportunity, cost, and risk. So I also want to understand what are the other alternative risks, be it technology, be it competition, be it environment, or for that matter, regulation. So these are the four major buckets that I would want to look into. Going forward, if you're okay with the structure, I can jump into the market size.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah. So, okay. If I'm looking into the market size, if I wanted to size the US market for automobile spare parts, here's I would go about it. First, I would like to understand how many cars are being produced in US, and we will try to multiply that with number of spare part SKUs per car that will be delivering to the for to be fitted in the cars. Then multiply that with average cost of each SKU that is being fitted in the car. Now going into number of vehicles, I will divide this in three different segments: number of cars, number of trucks, and number of other small, medium, large size commercial vehicles that do not fit in these two categories. So then going deep into, if you have some numbers on cars or trucks, or if you want me to estimate the number of cars, we can get into that as well.
Wait. So let me understand this correctly. You will start off with number of cars used in US.
Yeah. Yes.
And SKUs used in each one of them, multiplied by what?
Average sale price per SKU. That will give us a
sale price. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So why don't I tell you one thing which you did not pursue, which is a business model. Okay. So our client actually is mainly in the business of the replacement or repair. Yeah. And not the original fitment. Okay.
Okay. Got it.
So with that data, does your approach change?
Definitely. With replacement and / repairs, then our clients' customers are not car manufacturers. They are the car service stations. Or that service station may be owned by the parent company, that is the car manufacturer, but that may be an independent vendor as well. So now we have to take into account the original equipment manufacturer / something like Ford or like major car company. But we also have to look into third-party service providers that are providing a replacement / repair. So the market's perspective will change a lot.
Absolutely. So how would you size the market now? Why don't you go back to the board and
Yeah, sure. Just give me 30 seconds. I'll reframe. Yeah. So I have a new framework.
Hmm.
Now what we want, like I would like to look at it now more from the demand side. How many
Okay.
cars slash trucks slash consumer vehicles are available in the market, and
Okay.
in that, what percentage of them go for repair
Okay.
slash replacement, and then what percentage of that require repair slash replacement of this specific part, and then average
Mhm.
cost price of that part. So how we look into it, number of repair slash replacement,
Mhm.
we can devise that by average lifespan of the equipment that we are producing. And that equipment will have to be replaced 2, 3, or 5 years. That's the average lifespan of any equipment that I would assume. With that, we can, if we divide like number of years, if we divide that by number of cars, we'll roughly get how big of a market we are looking at. If that framework looks right to you, then I can proceed further.
Sure. Why don't you put some sensible numbers in it?
Sure, sure. Let's look at number of cars. So number
Mhm.
of cars, I would assume that USA has a population of 330 million. Uh,
Okay.
in that 330 million, I would assume that the age group above 16 till roughly around 80 is the age group that can hold a car legally. So like
Mhm.
we can exclude the age group before 16. After 16 to 80, we can segment the market into 60 to 80. That will be one group. Which this is the group that start. I segment that separately because this is the group that start losing the license, that either start losing the capability, so they may have a different proportion of cars. Then going from age group of 25 to 60, that is the professional age group. This age group will have a relatively higher cars. Then from age group from 16 to 25 is a this age group will have a separate proportion of cars. So how I would assume is age group 25 to 60, roughly around 50% of the population should have cars. Why I think 50%? Because in the major cities, it is not very common to own cars because, like for example, the way I see it, people in New York, they usually don't like to buy cars; they like to rent it. Then uh, first of all, let me go back. I think I forgot about this. Here, I'm only taking into account consumer cars, but I will also have to look into commercial cars and commercial vehicles as well.
Okay.
Currently, I'm looking only at consumer cars. So 50% of consumers from age group 25 to 60 will have cars, and around 25% I would put for 16 to 25 and 60 to 80. If that assumption sound right to you, I can jump into calculation of number of consumer cars.
Okay. I understand your logic. What's your logic for the commercial cars?
Uh, for commercial cars, I would assume that cars, I would use more of a utilization method. How
Mhm.
I would look into it is if there's a taxi in New York City, like the driver is probably working 10 to 12 hours. And if in 12 with average duration of a journey being around 20 minutes, we would assume that in 10 hours he'll do 30 journeys, so that car is being used by uh, a consumer probably twice a day to and fro, so that's around 15 consumers sharing one taxi, roughly speaking. So I would like whatever allocation that I'm putting in the adult segment, I will divide
Mhm.
that by 15 and I'll get the number of consumer cars.
And what about the logistic vehicles like trucks?
Now, going into logistics vehicle, you'll have to give me a 30 seconds more. I'll have to build a structure for that. Just
Sure.
give me 30 more
Please go
seconds.
ahead.
Yeah. Going into logistics perspective, I would like to see it from how many consumers are basically it's direct to consumer segment and B2B segment. The logistics is needed on both sides. So I would go. Uh, Just give me a second. Logistics segment, I'll divide into two segments, that is direct to consumer and business to business. In direct to consumer segment, I would see how many online orders or how many logistics orders an individual household is making per year, and then multiply by number of households. We know that average household size in US is roughly around 3 people per household. That will give us roughly around 110 million households. Multiply that with the number of logistics deliveries they are taking every year, and divide that by number of deliveries one vehicle can make in a single trip. So,
What logic? I think I'm clear about what's the logic that you're using. Okay,
yeah,
let me do one thing.
yeah,
Let me share with you some data. Okay,
sure, sure.
can you see this exhibit? Yeah.
Yes, yes, I
You
can.
want
Yeah,
the population, forget about that now. We have
yeah,
come far ahead of this.
yeah.
So let's assume that we did all the jugglery that we were doing, and we calculated total number of vehicles in US
Mhm.
to be 200 million vehicles. Okay.
Okay.
Um, so with that number and the numbers which are presented on the exhibit one, can you take the case forward?
You said there are 200 million vehicles in US all put together.
All put together. Yes.
Perfect. Just give me a second. So, let me run you through the calculation along with me as I'm going through. So, we
Sure.
know that on the passenger side, 80% of vehicles are passenger vehicles. That gives us 200 million multiplied by 80. That gives us 160 million. That
Mhm.
leaves us with commercial side with 40 million. Then
Mhm.
spare part change, that it's 2 in passenger and 4 in commercial. That gives us 320 million spare parts for passenger, and 160 million for commercial, with a total number of now we can see over here that the average price per spare part is also different over here. So,
Mhm.
like, if with the average spare part price of 20 for a passenger vehicle and 320 million spare part usage, that gives us 6400 million. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Just give me a second. So, yeah, 6400 million or 6.4 billion spare revenue from passenger side, and from commercial side we'll get uh, 4,000. Yeah, that makes sense. So, yeah. So, we will get 4,000 million from commercial side. Then typical spare part purchase channel. Like, if we look into channel, 20% OEM, 80% outside. So,
Mhm.
80% of passenger vehicle revenue, that is 6,400 million. That will give us. Just give me a second. I'll do a quick calculation. uh, 80% of 6400, and 20% of 4000 million. That will be 800 million on commercial side, and 64 into 8.
You mean the
Five.
outside? Hmm.
Yeah.
No, no,
So,
no,
since we are not going for OEM, we are only going for outside. I believe we'll be focusing only on outside, right?
no, 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 no. So these are these are basically the service stations owned by OEMs versus
Mhm.
we are talking about garages, workshop, which are external, which are outside.
Got it. And
This still replace, this still repair.
will still repair for both of them, both OEM and the outsider.
Yes.
Okay, perfectly. Then we get a market size of 10.4 billion. That is definitely bigger than our target market of 1 billion, and I think that's a very optimistic number. But with the market size at hand, I would like to go
Okay, 10
further into
point, yeah,
10.4 billion.
10.4 billion overall. So
Yeah.
including both the channels, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So
That
why do you think this channel data is given? Is there any significance you see?
uh, which sorry, you're talking about purchase channel.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my original thinking, that uh, the if the purchase channel is OEM, then my partnership or my dealing will be with the OEM, and OEM will supply to the garages. Whereas if it's an outside purchase, my partnership or my client or my customer will be the garage itself. So we'll have to design our sales channel or our relationship channel depending on like whether we want to target which segment, whether we want to target OEMs or whether we want to target outside or whether we want to target both. But
it's not about
overall,
what we want to target. Right? Probably we want to target everything, but
Yeah.
what is it that we can target? And so OEM service centers probably is one category, and non-OEM is another category, right? So
Yeah.
what I'm just trying to put your brain on is: do you already see what are the differences that will matter in this case, approaching OEM versus non-OEM
just
from a
give me a
market entry
second.
perspective?
Yeah, just give me a second. When we look at the size of OEMs are providing roughly 4.4 billion is being provided through OEMs, and rest of 6 billion is provided through outside vendors. So looking into that, but it is safe to assume that there are like couple, probably 6, 7, 8 OEMs. So it's a relatively consolidated market, and being able to target this market of 4.4 billion might be relatively easier than getting that 6 billion fragmented market. So I think considering the fact that our
Yes,
target
I
is
understand. Consolidated and very very dispersed. What other differences you see?
If you're referring to the fact that OEMs are providing 80% of equipment in commercial and only 20% of equipment in passenger, that's a difference between the two market segments, and I would like to understand the reason for that. But my assumption is that in commercial, basically these big logistics companies have a partnership with OEMs, and like these OEMs are providing the services because they buy the fleets, they don't buy single cars. Whereas passengers, it may be a lot more outside, because as a passenger, if I'm owning a car, I just want it fixed quickly, so I have much less loyalty with OEM. Whereas if I am a company who is operating a fleet of 500, I want a certain contract, 5-year, 10-year maintenance contract, where OEM is providing more services. I would assume that's the reason.
Okay, no, I was not talking from the perspective of consumer. I was talking from the perspective of our own client as a distributor. Okay, OEM as a channel to sell versus non-OEM channel, right? One of the things that we already spoke about is OEM will be concentrated. So there are few players, but big business, right?
Yeah.
And over here, it's a completely fragmented market, right? This is one difference, I understand, which is relevant for market entry. Are there any other differences that we should take into account?
Okay. You're talking about difference between OEM and outside, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So market entry difference. Okay. Just give me a second. So there are a couple of things that I can think of that may be differentiating between OEM and outside. First is from the competitive landscape point of view, OEM being a relatively consolidated bigger customer, they will hold a much more bargaining power as compared to us. So even though the price of spare parts being charged to the consumer is 20, we may not be like OEM may be capturing a lot more value than us. Whereas in the outside, we may be able to bargain better. So that's one difference. Secondly, going into OEM versus outside again, it is secondly, going into OEM versus outside, OEM may be seeking much more additional services, value-added services, guarantees, or certain level of punitive action in case if we are not able to provide the services, whereas the outside vendor or the outside garage may not have that kind of requirements. These are the few differences that I can come up with. However, if you have any other recommendation, I'm open to hearing.
Okay, so here is another exhibit. Yeah, you can probably go through it. Yeah, and tell me, as a result of this new data, how is your opinion shaping in terms of market entry?
So we have three major points over here. First is onboarding time, that is 18 months. It falls within our bracket of 1 to 2 year to enter into the market that was suggested in the objective. However, like even after this leaves us with just 6 months to enter and establish ourselves and be able to start selling, because if the onboarding process is taking 18 months and if our target is to be established in the market and start selling in less than 2 years, that may be a little more difficult as compared to the outside channel. Second, going into the onboarding criteria, the just-in-time delivery may pose a warehousing threat for us, because the cost of managing the equipment or cost of inventory will be held with us, which will drastically shoot up our cost of operations as compared to the outside channel, where the criteria is spare parts and commission, which leaves us with a relatively much more lean operations. And considering the fact that we are entering a new market, that may be a relatively better option. Then, but thirdly, the committed business up to 20. I'm sorry, could you elaborate on that point? Committed business up to 20% of the demand. I didn't understand the
OEMs don't have too many vendors for a particular part. So let's say you qualify to be a vendor and you get onboarded, whatever that OEM's demand. For example, let's say OEM wants 10 clutch plates, right? Then
okay, got it.
You surely get at least 2 out of them. So they don't actually,
I understood. So that, considering that the fact that OEM's full market size is 4.48 billion, 20% of that will be around 896 million. So like that does fall short of our goal of market size of 1 billion. But I would like to confirm whether we are looking at a market size of 1 billion or market capture of 1 billion from our goal.
We are talking about addressable market. So
addressable market. So like, so if we capture OEM and considering that the fact that OEM's market size is 4.4 billion, that leaves us with the 896 million market size, which market share, which is a fairly big number. Considering the fact that our goal market size was little above that, that makes it attractive.
Provided we really get qualified and onboarded. Yeah?
Yes. Okay. That makes it attractive, but the first two criteria may be a deal breaker, because one, the cost of inventory will shoot up, because if if we look at the total market size, that is 10.4 billion, and considering the fact that we'll have to manage an inventory of 896 million odd for the OEMs in case if we are able to capture the full market, that's an extremely heavy inventory cost that we'll have to bear. So I would like to do a little bit more calculation on that. Then going into outside channel, immediate onboarding, which is a relatively good criteria, and considering that these are retailers, it would make sense that they just want cheap price and just a better split on cost versus price. That also makes sense. So percentage of commission also makes sense. But there is no guarantee from that side. So while outside channel sounds more lucrative right now, I would like to see how we can create a moat around, like create a loyalty with our retailers so that we are able to maintain a decent market chunk out there.
Cool. So let's take a pause here. Yeah. Why don't you take a half a minute and come back with the final recommendation?
Okay. Uh, Thank you so much for having us. So my recommendation is for our spare part distribution client to enter US market and focus on outside retailers instead of OEMs as a mode of market entry. The reason for that is first, with our goal of market size of 1 billion and outside vendors holding around 6 billion market size in the uh, outside vendor segment holding 6 billion market size. This is 6 times our minimum market size, so it would make sense to enter that market. Plus, considering immediate onboarding that fits within our timeline of entering the market within 1 to 2 years. However, this does come with a couple of risks. Considering the fact that these are retailers that are distributed across the country, one, as it is mentioned in the case, the loyalty of our customer will reduce us to a commodity with only the price or the commission that they charge will matter. And secondly, this also will add to our sales department because our sales department will have to grow to cater to a large number of small retailers rather than 7 to 8 key accounts which can be managed by a couple of key account managers, which will increase our sales cost. Going into next step, I would like to develop a strategy for sales development, business development within the US to see how much the market size we can capture and how we will enter the market through organic growth.
Okay. Okay, good.
Okay.
So let's stop the case over here. What's your reflection? How did it go for you?
Let me. Is it okay if I go through everything step by step?
Sure, please.
First let me look into the cross questions. I think one thing that I could have asked is how many SKUs or like what is the product, because I did ask like who are the customers, how are we selling it. I did not ask what is the product because that would have given me insight into like is it one spare part or like a different number of spare parts that are being sold. Other than that, the cross questioning I think that I got, but except for the fact that I didn't ask what the product is. Then going into structure, I think I more or less got it. Basically, I looked at it as a corporate strategy of growth into a new market. So we cover the market, we cover our own capabilities, we cover our opportunities and risks, and we covered our mode of market entry. However, it's a little open-ended structure. So like I would be open to your input on how I like it is messy, but it is also 80-20. So I don't think it is completely comprehensive, but it does cover almost 80% of what we need to look into. So that I would like to make my structure a little bit more comprehensive, but I would be open to your inputs on that. Then going into market sizing, I think uh, I did try to make it a little bit more complex early on, but considering the fact that I had to pivot my structure 3 times, I'm really happy with the fact that I did not sweat so much. And going into calculations, I think my calculations, all of them were on point, and I was able to run you through the calculations while I was doing it, which is a relatively good sign. But uh, I'm, I think the difference between the outside vendor and OEMs, I got stuck a little bit when you asked me like what are the other what are the other differences that can be there. However, I did catch up that the OEMs will be asking for guarantees, purchasing power will be higher. So we got into that later on, but I did get stuck over there. Then lastly, I think the recommendation is fine. I think that's about it for me.
Okay. So had this been real Bain first round case, would you pass yourself to the second round?
I really hope so.
No, what's your assessment?
Uh,
Would you pass yourself to the next round?
Let me. Yeah. So, like the way I see it, Bain looks at two things. One, that you should be able to handle the pressure, which I think I did,
Mhm.
considering the fact that I had to change the structure of my market sizing three times, and the fact that I did not lose my pool because I had to rephrase my structure. That shows a certain level of strength in my own capabilities, which is a positive thing. And secondly, my calculations were great, and like in calculation there was no error, which is also a positive sign. But
Mhm.
however, I mean, like, except for structure, because like I know that Bain doesn't like open-ended structure, like that's where I'm a little skeptical. But other than that, I think everything was fine.
Let me let me give my analysis on this.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'll give it. I'll go completely top down. And I would say, see, if this had been a MBA level first round Bain case, I would have probably not taken you forward to the second round. And the main reason for that is a very weak probing, and the structure also wasn't that great. Plus, the communication, I found a couple of areas where the communication was weak. Okay, so I'll go very again now on the second part. I'll go a little bit chronologically. Okay, so you paraphrase the case very well, but then basically was the weakest part, which is the clarification. Yeah, you should have clarified much better. Okay, so a few things that I noted. You asked for the business model, right? And then you asked a compound question, that business model question, and watch the video again. You asked second question, yeah. And when I answered the second one, you forgot to pursue the business model.
Mhm.
Ultimately, I didn't even answer the business model of the company, yeah,
Mhm.
which would have been very handy for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why do they want to get into US? Have they tried other markets, etc.? Why this is relevant?
Opportunity cost.
But what have I basically asked you to do the opportunity costing? My question was very simple: whether we should enter US or not. In fact, I'm going to come to that in your structure as well,
Mhm.
because I didn't ask you if you were, if not US, then something else, right? Your mandate was very clear. You didn't have to increase your scope. Okay,
Okay. Fair.
that's that. When you're asking for goal, or I would actually, I don't like the word goal over here. I like the word success criteria. But whatever sentence that you asked, once you are asked the question, don't feed the answers in the interviewer's mouth. Why are you asking question and giving me 4 or 5 options? Yeah, that is
Got
not a
it.
very good communication strategy. If you get a nasty interviewer, he might just pick up one, or he might actually not give a right answer. Okay.
Got it. Got it. Got
Fourth
it.
was about the subjective words. So statement was like 10, 15 words, I guess. But I think there was a word called dominant there in European market. You didn't clarify what does dominant mean. Does it mean we have monopoly in Europe? What is it exactly? Yeah. So
Okay.
always remember that when you are listening to the test, listen with your heart literally in your ear.
Okay.
Anything ambiguous, anything qualitative, which is open to interpretation, don't clarify over here. No, it will hate you afterwards.
Got
Okay.
it.
So listen to the statement extremely intently. Yeah. So the clarification which you should have. I mean, there are so many other questions that could have been asked, but I saw several mistakes in the clarification. Then coming to the structure, now I feel the alternative investment and a mode of entry, yeah, both the branches, I can live with it, especially the alternative investment. Yeah. In fact,
Got it.
alternate investment I wouldn't put. Even mode of entry at this point of time is not needed. See, there are only two criteria for the structure to be perfect: messiness and relevance.
Okay.
Yeah, where you faltered is relevance. The last two branches were actually not relevant, especially
Got
the
it.
last one, which is alternative investment. Second is the communication of the structure. Communicate the structure top down.
Got it.
Don't send the entire branch to me and go to the second branch. You
Got it. Got it.
L1, then L2, and like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's the way to communicate. So structured communication was also not that great. So out of five on structure, I gave you three, and probing I gave you two, and that is where a lot of problems actually were found. Quantitative analysis, you are great with numbers. I mean, I was not expecting you to go this fast and this accurate. So very nice in terms of the calculations. Very good. On the market sizing, I wonder whether primary key of population was a good idea for car or household was a good idea.
Yeah.
Normally for
Yeah.
car or white goods, we have household
Yeah.
as a primary key. Okay.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your
Got
logic was good. Whenever I pushed you, so for example, the commercial vehicles, right? So there are hundreds of ways in which we can market it, we can size it, and every time you came up with very good logic, yeah. And you always have something to defend, something to put as a logic, which is very nice. So otherwise, quantitative analysis, very good performance. Qualitative analysis, it's not that we had a specific brainstorming discussion, but
it.
some places when I pushed you, you came up with a good answers. In some places, like the last one, right, you faltered a little bit. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Having said that, that is a content part of it. Okay? What I would urge you to do is, whenever you are supposed to come back with a qualitative answer, try and see whether you can have an overarching structure.
Got it. Got it.
So
Got
that
it.
even if in the brainstorming or even at L2, you miss out on a couple of points, it's okay because you have covered or you have the overarching structure.
Got
Okay.
it.
Last thing is recommendation. So recommendation, I feel it was too verbose. Now you took a path, right? You recommended that we should enter and we should focus on OEM. Yeah. Then what's the point in talking about disadvantages of not going with OEM? Right? That if we go with non OEM, then we'll have to have sales team, etc., etc. That is not needed. Keep it crisp. The
Okay.
line of thinking that you have taken, and there's no right or wrong recommendation. Yeah, as long as you are able to defend it and communicate it well, it's fine. So you chose to have yes as an answer, right? You chose to recommend that yes, we should go with the OEM channel. Then give that as a recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah. Then probably in the next step you can talk about that. Okay, if this falls short by 100 million or whatever, yeah, then we can look for some spare parts with some vendors, etc.
Got
Yeah,
it. Got it.
that should be the next steps, and not in the core recommendation. Your core
Yeah.
recommendation became too verbose.
Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
That's that. One small thing that you have a habit of saying, give me 30 seconds. Yeah. If you say 30 seconds in like 30th minute of the case, yeah, that is too much. And the good thing is you don't take 30 seconds. You come back very fast. Yeah. You don't take 30 seconds. Unnecessarily, you are scaring the interviewer. Yeah. Just say, can I have a few moments to come
Yeah.
back to you? Can I just
Got
take some time to think? Okay.
it. Got it.
Uh, Habit word, or phrase 30 seconds. Try and try and get rid of that. Okay.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah. Great. So
Okay.
that is what I have in terms of the feedback for you, Ankit. But thanks a
Okay.
lot for battling. I think a couple of points that came across which were very positive, which is your ability to battle it out, right? So I pushed you a couple of times to change your logic. I gave you information and you have to rethink, but I'm happy that you didn't actually get derailed. Yeah, and that's the tenacity. Yeah, that's the attitude that is needed. Yeah, but remember that all these things are very, very important. But some of these core things, right, like clarification, structure, right, these are the core skills. You need to master them. You cannot falter over there.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Okay. Great. Thank
cool.
you so much.
Thanks a lot.